Welcome to this lesson on domain and range. So we're going to talk about what is the domain, what is the range, and how can we find those. So first off, the domain is your input values or the x values. So when you're looking at an ordered pair, so let's say I had 1, 3 and 2, 5. My domain in this case would be 1 and 3. Other times you can have a domain where it says that 1 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 9. That tells you that any number that is essentially between 1 and 9 is part of the domain. The range then, oops, I said 1 and 3, I meant 1 and 2 here. I apologize, it's your x values. Your range then are your output values or the y values. So in this case, if we had 1, 3 and 2, 5, your range would be 3 and 5. Okay, again, it can also be written as an inequality. So this 1 is less than or equal to y, which is less than or equal to 9, telling you that any number that fits this inequality is a part of this range. All right, so today we're just going to focus on this first part, and we'll talk about the inequality pieces a little later down the road. All right, so looking at this, the x value is typically your input, so it's what you put into your equation, and then your y is typically your output and what you get out of it. So here, our domain are our x values of 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we have to use this bracket in 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then close the bracket. The brackets are what tell you that it's a domain, so you have to have that bracket. And then the range is your y values. So in this case, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. Pretty simple. So here, now we have to look at the domain and the range, but in ordered pairs. So this is where sometimes it's nice to have a highlighter and to go through and say, okay, my domain is going to be blue, my range will be pink, and just go through and say domain, 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 range, 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 because again, my domain is my x values, and my range is my y values. Right, so in this case, again, I need the bracket. And notice I don't have the world's most perfect brackets, so don't worry too much about yours. Just make sure you can tell that it's not a parenthesis. And we do list these from least to greatest. So 1 is our smallest, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then close the bracket. All right, and then I'm going through with my range, so bracket. I have 3, 5, 0, -1, and 5. So here I do need to start with the -1, so I'll cross it out, and then 0 would be next, and then 3. Right, and then just for now while we're practicing, we are going to list both 5s, but you do not always have to do that. But right now, since we're just working on identifying both, we're going to just make sure to have them both in there, okay? And again, you list them from least to greatest. All right, so now we're going to take a look at how would you find the range if you're given the domain. So you have an equation here that's 2 plus x, or 2 times x plus 4 times y equals 18. So what I have to do is I have to take my y's and plug them in and figure out my x. So I'm going to start off by doing 2 times 0, because that's the first one, and actually make a table to make my life easier to remember what I did. So I have 0, 1, 2, and 3, plus 4 times y equals 18. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 4 times y equals 18. So 4 times y equals 18. I divide both sides by 4. So y is equal to, so 4 goes into 18 4 times. And we're left with 2/4, so we know it's 4.5. So my y in this case is 4.5. All right, and then I have, so that was for 0, so that one's done. So now I have to do 1. So I have 2 times 1 plus 4y equals 18. So I have 2 plus 4 equals, plus 4y equals 18. So I have to subtract 2 from both sides, and I get 4y is equal to 16. And I divide by 4 and divide by 4, and I get y is equal to 4. So when x is 1, y is 4. Now, this is where you do have to remember how to solve multi-step equations. So we have to be careful and make sure we do the order of operations opposite and backwards. All right, so at this point, what I would like you to do is I would like you to pause the video and try 2 and 3, and then come back and check your work to make sure you understand how to solve and get your domain and range from equations. All right, so here I'm doing 2 times 2 plus 4y equals 18. So 4 plus 4y equals 18. Subtract both sides by 4. I get 4y is equal to 14. Divide by 4, divide by 4. Y is equal to 3.5. Okay, and a way to check this is to put both of your numbers back into the equation and make sure that it comes out true. So for 1, putting in 2 times 1 plus 4 times 4 equals 18. Well, 2 times 1 is 2, plus 4 times 4 is 16. 2 plus 16 is 18, so you know that it works. So always go back and double check. And then here we have 2 times 3 plus 4 times y equals 18. We get 6 plus 4 times y equals 18. Subtract both sides by 6. We get 4y equals 12. Divide both sides by 4. Y is equal to 3. Now the other way you can look at this is my x values do go up by 1 each time, and then I notice that there's a pattern. I keep going down by halves. So I can also look at this and say visually it looks like my answers would be correct. But now I'm not done. Now I need to identify the range. I know my domain, so my domain is, and I'm just going to put D equals 0, 1, 2, and 3. And then my range is, least to greatest, so 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5. And close the bracket. All right, so pretty simple. This is just the building blocks here when we're talking about functions and equations. So you have a couple of problems here that you need to try on your own to identify the domain and the range. And then you do have this problem down here where you do have to use the information to fill out your table and then create your domain and range from the table. As always, if you have any questions, please be sure to write them down or email me so we can go over them in class.